You know what? You're not the only one, Markiplier.
What?
You're not the only one. Wait. No, hold on. Wait, listen. Hold on, please. Listen! Wait! The good old Bulldozer. The second most well-known enemy in the history of Payday. The first one being this little bastard right here, but, I'm not going to dive deep into that. In this video, I'm going to be explaining you how the Bulldozer essentially works, what is exactly the best way to deal with them, what weapon to use, and as well as what skills are effective against them. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into it. The Bulldozer is a very simple enemy to understand, and it's not really a complicated feature. The Bulldozer will always and try their best to sort of close distances against you because they're not really effective when it comes to long-range engagements. It's not like in Payday 2 where there's like multiple versions of them where one is good in close range and other is like good on every single range. This is not really the same thing with Payday 3 because there's only one type, and I'm hoping that there would be more, but let's not get into that topic too much, but either way. The Bulldozer is a very simple enemy. They only fight off against you on close to mid-range engagements, but they sort of never fight off against you on long distances. What do I mean by this is that there is a specific amount of distance at which the Bulldozer will never shoot at you whatsoever. Sometimes they will not shoot at you at 10 meters or above, sometimes they will not shoot at you at 50 meters or above, and so on. But one thing I've noticed is that they never shoot at you whenever you're within at least a 20-meter range. But their damage drop-off is very noticeable when it comes to mid-range engagements because instead of ripping you to shreds in a split second, if you're at least like 5 or 10 meters away from the Bulldozer, then you will just notice the damage drop-off come in very quickly, and it's very noticeable. So, one common thing that the Bulldozer loves to do is, like I said earlier, close the gaps between you, because they love to corner you and as well as come close to you as much as possible, because their shrink comes in into close range engagements. But they also do sometimes taunt at you, but the only time they really taunt at you is when they've been shooting at you for a long period, or whenever they knock down a teammate or damage a teammate for a lot of damage, or especially you, if they damage you for a lot of damage. And yeah. The taunting way is just sort of as a way to mock you for being a bitch and someone that cannot fight back. And what they usually do is they just throw like a tantrum or just like, do a Fortnite dance on you.
I will pay you to kill your...
God, I hate saying that, but oh my god, I want to shoot myself, but either way. They will sort of start throwing tantrums or like dance and make fun of you for it, but that really only happens when they've been shooting at you for a long period or when they knock down a teammate, and so on and so on. And whenever you're too close to the Bulldozer, one very powerful attack that they will do is kicking you. And trust me when I say this, when they kick you, you will lose a lot of health if you're not wearing the heaviest armor. And they will also stagger you. Even if you do have the solid skill or any skill that prevents any sort of staggering effect to be applied to you, you will take the damage and eat that shit like a man, because that thing will make you lose all of your health in a split second if you're very close to him. And he will not hesitate to kick you. But you can actually sort of juke his kick in a way. Well, not really, but one way you can actually do it if you're fast enough is you sort of get close to him, but you also sort of run past him immediately. And he will try to kick you and will most likely miss if you're quick enough. This gives you or your team enough time to go back and shoot at him because he's sort of stuck in an animation, and then once the animation stops, then he will instantly go back to shooting at you. But another attack that he also does is charging at you, which he only does whenever you're in the distance or whenever you're walking away from him. You see, whenever you stand in the distance and there's a Bulldozer that sees you for a brief period, say like 5 or 10 seconds or so, then they will start to charge at you, but they will only charge in a straight line. So the best way to avoid this is just simply literally just walk sideways, and that's pretty much it. And if you get hit by this, then you totally deserve it. And I mean it.
Here I come.
But either way, however, hear me out on this. They will sometimes charge at you, even at close range distances for some apparent reason. This only happens once in a blue moon, so always keep your eye on this. The Bulldozer will always say a voice line regarding to a charging effect, like, here comes the beatdown, or like, here comes the bull, or something. So always pay attention to his voice lines. If he starts mocking at your teammates, then you will know that, he's taunting at your teammates. But whenever you hear him saying, like, oh, here comes the bull crusher or whatnot, then that means he's, like, charging or so. So always listen to his voice lines, so that will give you an understanding what he's exactly doing. But like I said earlier, he does sometimes charge at you at close distances, so you have to be very prepared for it. But there's also one common thing that he does that I'm not sure if it's a bug or an intended feature. Whenever a bulldozer spots you, regardless if it's your first encounter or your multiple encounter, he will always never shoot at you instantly. There is a small delay before he actually shoots at you, regardless of if you're right next to him or not. So, yeah, you can sort of use that as an advantage to either run away quickly or sort of, start shooting at him. But how do you deal against a bulldozer, now that I've explained it? So, with the knowledge, you know that he fights good in close distances, and he shreds you like butter, but he's terrible at long-range engagements. What do you do against him? Do not approach him next to him at all times. Like I said, his kick does significantly amount of damage, and he can hit multiple heisters with it. So if all of your crewmates are literally together for some apparent reason and get too close to him, then he is able to knock all of you down without having any problems whatsoever. So be careful of approaching him in close range, or approaching him literally right next to him. Excuse me. But keep your distance. That's all I can pretty much say. Stay a little bit further away, and if not, just use cover as much as possible. Remember how I said that there's a split-second delay before the bulldozer actually shoots at you? Well, you can actually use it as an advantage. Cover is going to be your best friend against him. The best way you can actually fight off against him is peek out, shoot him for a few times, like 5 or 7 rounds, hide back, peek, shoot again, and then hide back, peek, shoot again, and hide back. Because you're constantly leaving his vision, that little delay before he actually starts shooting resets entirely. At least that's what I noticed. So there's not a time that sort of stays whenever he sees you. It always resets whenever you leave his I can't speak. Whenever you leave his vision. So always shoot at him whenever you see him, but always try to move away if you don't want to take that much damage. But I will get into that in a little bit. But another way you can actually sort of deal with him is in close range is, like I said, juking his kick. Have a teammate juke it out for you or do it yourself, and once you were able to juke his kick, go back and shoot him entirely because he's stuck in an animation and can't really do much. If you see him taunting someone, like one of your teammates or or even you for that matter, he's going to be taunting for quite some time, and you have plenty of time even to reload on his face and as well as knock him on the ground. But never shoot him on the body, because he has so much armor to the point where you might as well just be hitting him with a stick at this point, because it's literally useless, unless you have the anti-material rifle and as well as the minigun, but I will get into that in a little bit. Always shoot him on the faceplate. Never on the back or on the side, always on his face, because it's not like in Payday 2 where if you destroy his visor, you're able to literally shoot him on the back of the head and it will still deal the same amount of damage if you shoot him on the front. That's not really the same way here, and he will always have 1 health when you destroy his visor. Even if you have a weapon that deals the tiniest amount of damage, if you even literally just tap his head when his faceplate is broken, he will instantly die from it entirely, so keep that one in mind. But what is exactly the best weapon to be used against him? When it comes to assault rifles, in my opinion, the Northwest, CAR-4, and as well as the AK are the perfect weapon against the Bulldozer because of their fast rate of fire and as well as their high damage output. You might think, well, what about the SCAR and as well as the G3 and the FAMAS? Well, the FAMAS's delay is going to sort of fuck you over at certain times, and as well as the G3s and as well as the SCAR's slower rate of fire and as well as their smaller magazine capacity can also sometimes mess you up, because sometimes you will be able to kill them with 1 magazine, sometimes it's not. At least with the CAR-4, Northwest, and the AK, you have a consistent way to kill them without having to reload on their faces. So yeah, when it comes to pistols, I cannot speak, wow. Pistols, when it comes to them, revolvers are useless, stay away from them. The SP model is okay. Both signature pistols are also fine, but the best weapons, in my opinion, for the secondary slot are the jackknife, the deagle, and as well as the Glock, and as well as the machine pistol. Because of their fast rate of fire and as well as their high magazine capacity, you're actually able to kill them with 1 singular magazine if you're able to land all of your shots very effectively. Now, does grit and as well, or pardon me, does edge and as well as face-to-face have any sort of effect against the Bulldozer? No. At least that's what I noticed. I actually did try a little bit experimentation with some of the weapons, but I didn't really notice any different between the others, so yeah. What weapons should you not be using against the Bulldozer? Do not use any of the pump shotguns. Well, not really. You can use them. Here's the thing. Because of their small delay before you could like shoot your next shot, one thing you can actually do with like weapons that have delay, like the Beretta, the shotgun, like the pump action shotguns, and as well as the FAMAS, one thing you can actually do against the Bulldozer is peek, shoot, go back, wait for the delay, peek, shoot, and go back. Because there's a small delay between each shots, you're sort of using that as an advantage without having to take too much damage, but that is of course if you have cover next to you. But the worst weapon you can use against the Bulldozer is the sniper rifle and as well as the FIK. Because the FIK does shit damage, and as well as the sniper rifle, it has a very slow rate of fire, so do not even bother using it. The double barrel is very effective against the Bulldozer, because in 2 shots it literally destroys their visor, leaving them completely defenseless, and if you're able to switch to your pistol quick enough, you're actually able to literally just shred them in like 2 seconds. The Ziv Commando is the best weapon, besides the Overkill weapon, when it comes to deleting the Bulldozer. Because of how fast it is able to shoot out bullets, this thing will literally shred through the Bulldozer's visor without any problems whatsoever, and I mean that literally. It is better than every single weapon than in Payday 3 when it comes to dealing with Bulldozers, except for the double barrel shotgun, but we're not going to talk about that one. But if you want the ultimate weapon when it comes to shredding dozers, the Ziv Commando is your perfect weapon. All the other SMGs are also very good, they don't really have any problems, but the best one is, in my opinion, being the Ziv Commando. So for assault rifles, Car 4, AK, and the Northwest, SMG, all of them works, but if you want the best, stick with the good old Ziv Commando. For shotguns, use the Syntax Aero Semi-Auto Shotgun or the Double Barrel Shotgun. For pistols, Jackknife, Glock, Machine Pistol, Deagle, and maybe the SP model, but then again, it's not really that good. Stay away from revolvers because of their low magazine capacity as well as their slower rate of fire. I'm looking at you, Bull Kick, you useless piece of shit, but either way. What about Overkill weapon? The grenade launcher sucks. That's all I can say. Oh, and explosives is also useless against the Bulldozer. Do not even bother using against them, and he will also make fun of you for it because you kind of deserve it, bitch. Flashbangs is also useless against them. Smoke grenades are also fine if you use like strategies and as well as decompilation. Am I even saying that right? I don't know. I don't care. But we'll talk about that later. The anti-material rifle is literally a anti-dozer weapon. I don't think I need to say much, but the minigun is also very good, both on body shots and as well as on headshots. So yeah, pick your poison. Either want to destroy them very quickly or just be able to shred them without having any problems whatsoever, but that's up to you. So what type of armor should you really be using against them? That depends. If you're fast and you're able to go through cover to cover, then just stick with lighter armor. But if you want to sustain the most amount of damage, I highly suggest you wearing the armor chunk, the 3 armor chunk armor, and as well as the heavy armor. But pair it with hardy. Hardy is literally the best counter against the Bulldozer. That 2-second invincibility that you have is so good that it literally makes every single Bulldozer encounter a breeze. That is if you have the heaviest armor or the 3 chunk armor. Do not bother using Hardy with the 2 armor chunk and as well as the adaptive armor because it's literally useless on them. Sure, it will help you on certain times, but it's literally better to use it on armors that have multiple chunks, like the 3 armor chunk and as well as the heavy armor, because you could lose 1 armor chunk and still continue your fight without having any problems. Even if you have like lost 1 or 2 armor chunks with the heaviest armor, you will literally trade 1 armor chunk against like 1 or 2 bulldozers and still have more armor left than the adaptive armor piece of shit armor that is, and still be able to fight without having any problems. Oh, and I also forgot, every time you kill a bulldozer, they always drop an armor repair kit, so that's another neat thing to do. One thing you can actually do is, if you have 1 armor token as well as hardy, you can literally just go up to a bulldozer, kill them, and refill your armor without having any problems. You're literally trading 1 armor and getting 1 armor back. You lose 1 armor, but you get it back instantly. So yeah, but let's talk about skills. Like I said earlier, hardy is literally the best encounter. It literally requires 2 skills. You grab tank and literally just hardy entirely and you're literally good to go. The bulldozer is not even a problem to begin with. But let's say hypothetically you don't have hardy. How quick are they able to shred your armor and as well as your health? Here's a demonstration. Exactly. So yeah, like I said, cover is your best friend. And like I said earlier, there's a second delay before he actually starts shooting at you, so use that the best way as possible. But let's say you can't get hardy. What about anything else? Well, like I said, smoke grenades are also very good against him, and as well as strategic skill and as well as this skill. No, fuck you, I'm not going to try to spell it again. Shut up. These skills combined together will literally make the Bulldozer shotgun be obsolete entirely. They will deal such tiny damage that you will not even notice it. So yeah, and there, I can't speak. There you go. That is the best way I can actually explain how the Bulldozer works, how you can fight off against them, and as well as what is exactly the best way to sort of, or what is exactly the best weapons to be used against them, and yada yada yada. You get the gist of it. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. So come on, buddy, let's go home. I know you've been tired all day, so have a good day. Treat each other with respect. Take care of each other. Now get out of my house. Thank you.